Hey everyone, my name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. If you like making money, subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up for the content. Leave questions, comments, anything you got below in the comment section. Today I'm going to go over gold and silver. I'm going to go over kind of what drives gold and silver, which is real negative yields, and I'll show that in a kind of a picture. I'm going to describe a little bit of, I think, what's going on with gold and silver, and then I'm going to go into some gold and silver companies just to show you what they're doing. So let's jump in. This is a gold and silver presentation. So real yields. Early morning, gold was basically doing okay. It was flat. And the yields weren't going anywhere, the 10-year and the 30-year. Then mid-morning to late morning, yields just took off. And gold immediately reacted to yields going up and tanked pretty hard with everything else. What I see at the moment is that yields are moving the entire market. So yields going up, seems like the market doesn't like it and everything kind of sells off. So this is what yields look like. This is the 10-year US Treasury yield. It was up over 5% today. I don't know where it ended, but it was higher than this, I think. So it was 5% on the 10-year. On the 30-year, it was 2.4%. Markets weren't liking that. Now, I'm going to go over what drives gold. Gold, I've got a simple chart here. Let's say this is the interest rate on the bottom, and this is the inflation rate up top. Now, this is what I actually expect is going to happen in the future. We're going to have an increasing inflation rate going forward, and I think they're going to try to hold interest rates down. And what drives gold is the difference, an increasing difference between these two lines is what drives gold higher. So this vertical line, see how it's smaller than this vertical line? This vertical line between the interest rate and the inflation rate, this difference needs to get larger and larger with time, even though this one is sloping up at a faster rate than this one's sloping up at a very small rate of incline. So what drives gold is this is called a real negative rate when the inflation rate is higher than the interest rate. And this inflation rate grows larger and larger with time in comparison to the interest rate. So this difference has to grow to drive the price of gold higher. And this is called the real rate, and it has to grow at a greater negative increasing rate. So that's what we want to see if you want higher gold prices. So we've got Royal Gold here. I'm just going to go into some of the royalty companies and just show you from a big picture and then zoom in. So from a big picture perspective, we've got this large support line right here. We broke to the upside. This was the big crash, COVID sell-off, and we're kind of just above this breakout. It could potentially come back and hit one of these large trend lines. Maybe it hits this trend line coming up. Maybe it hits this trend line going across, somewhere in here. But I think we're getting close to a bottom. This is what Royal Gold was doing earlier in the day at 1214. I don't know if it ended here. It probably was flat. But I do see that we're kind of holding our ground somewhere in this area. And I wouldn't be scared out of here. I would actually be looking to accumulate in this area. Because I think what's happening is that inflation's going to come. It's actually going to come. And it's going to have real negative rates. And we're going to see a very good, substantial real negative rate, because I think that the Federal Reserve is going to have to hold interest rates down to prop everything up, and also for the interest payments on the debt to be manageable. So I think they have to. And what's going to be sacrificed is the dollar, and gold's going to go, and commodities are going to go through the roof. That's what I think. We've got a Cisco Gold royalty. If it breaks this upper trend line, this thing's going to be gone. We are below it. We're trending right here by the 200-day. That's kind of where we're at. Zooming in, and I don't know if this ended here, but this looks fantastic in terms of a setup. Cost averaging slowly. It's up to you, or you can wait. Here's Franco-Nevada. Look at where Franco-Nevada is. If you were to take a big picture view on a weekly candlestick chart, Draw the trend line in. It's right there at the trend line. Right there. So I think this is actually a good spot to be looking for Franco-Nevada. This is zoomed in. I don't know if it had this update like a bullish engulfing here, but this is what it was going to set up as. And I don't know if people are in there monkeying around with stuff, whatever. But this was looking decent. Looked like it was going to set up to go to the upside. I don't know if it ended there, but either way, it's looking pretty good. Wheat and precious metals, you can see what we're putting in here. Could be a shoulder, head, shoulder, and then maybe we go a little bit lower, maybe just a teeny bit lower, a couple dollars lower. And maybe that would be a good entry point, or maybe right now, somewhere in this range. But we did break this trend line here to the downside, and we do have these two other trend lines, which could be a substantial drop. This is zoomed in on wheat and precious metals. I think it was probably flat to down a little bit is where it ended. Ely gold, this is where the support line is. We could be just coming back and touching this support line. And then I'd like to see gold move up. Gold, I think, has to move up. I don't think if we get this, I'll talk at the end about this. Ely gold, looking down. We're right down here. I don't know if it ended like this at a zero. Might have been down a little bit, but it's holding okay. I mean, we're still in a downtrend. Sandstorm gold is right at its support line. We'll see if this thing holds or if it breaks. This is a weekly candlestick chart. It was holding at the moment. We'll see if that actually held. EXK, you can see this resistance line going across here. It's right there. Just need to break it and go. Endeavor Silver zoomed in on a daily chart, looking pretty good if this is where it ended. I know it probably ended down more than this because I think everything kind of sold off at the end of the day. First Majestic looking pretty good. We drawn this line across. It broke it, kind of came back, and it's just sitting on top of the line. So that's looking decent. There's First Majestic zoomed in. I don't know if it finished there, but still looking pretty good. We've got Fortuna Silver Mines looking okay. Metallic Minerals, they probably ended a little bit down more than this. And this is a big term view of Discovery Metals kind of on its uptrend line right here. And this could break out if silver can find its foot, get some footing here and actually move higher. These are all looking good to set up to move to the upside. Now, I think that this is what I think is happening. And then this is my viewpoint. I think the bond market is anticipating inflation coming. So they're selling bonds and rotating out of bonds, which is driving interest rates higher. The inflation hasn't come yet in the quantities that maybe the bond market, or perhaps everyone's getting fooled to sell their gold and silver, because gold and silver are excellent inflation hedges. And we're going to have real negative rates. Interest rates are not very high. We have higher rates of inflation, measuring it by any measure that you want. So we have growing, I think we have real negative rates growing, but it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the market thinks and how the money flows are rotating between sectors. So what I think is going to happen is when inflation becomes very apparent, I think what people are going to realize is like, oh crap, we should be in gold. So they're all going to move their way into gold, and that money's going to rotate into gold. That's my guess. That's what I am betting on. That's where I've positioned my money. I've positioned it in commodities, silver, and gold. I mean, and platinum, obviously. Big platinum bull here. So I think the money will eventually rotate into these sectors. I think they have to. I don't think I've seen a period in time where you've got a good rate of inflation with increasing interest rates and gold going down. It doesn't work like that. Usually when you have increasing inflation rates, which is an increasing real negative yield, gold, silver, they all go up, commodities go up, and then we're going to see real estate continue to be strong. Interest rates do not affect. If you were to know nothing about the markets, interest rates go up with real estate if you were to just plot things out and chart it. That's what I see in history. That's what we've seen in the past. Real estate did a 10x with interest rates going from 2%, which had bottomed in, I think, the 50s or 60s maybe, late 50s or 60s. I can't remember the exact bottom, all the way to 18% at the end of the 70s and early 80s. Early 80s, like maybe 1980, late 70s, we had interest rates at like 18%, and house prices before that went through the roof. Unemployment went up during that same time frame as well. Supply and demand rule those markets. They rule real estate. Real estate, at least historically, has been the driver of inflation in expansionary phases of inflation with larger demographics. I don't think this time's any different than the other times. I think gold and silver are going to do exceptionally well. We just might be a little bit early to this to the big game. This might be that first little sell-off, that bull trap or bear trap potentially. And then whenever this thing turns and goes, I want to be ready and locked and loaded for that. So hopefully this stays down a little bit and I can accumulate some more. I'm looking to accumulate these things. I noticed there were some other sectors that were down that I'm looking to accumulate in. If you guys like this information, this presentation, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave comments below on what you think. Do you think we're going to have a lot more downside in gold, or do you think we're going to be bottoming out here very shortly? Let me know what you think. Thanks for listening. This is Finding Value.